Hi, and welcome back to Keep Smiling with Larry Rifkin. I'm Larry Rifkin. In previous shows, we discussed things like manifesting the life that we desire, the law of attraction, vibrational frequency. I thought this week we would discuss some fundamental philosophies about spirituality and that deal with spirituality. And I'd like to start first with a definition of spirituality because there are so many different definitions that you can put to this. But I think one universal definition, one that resonates with me, is being connected to the now. And while we're connected to the now, connecting to the divine within us. Now, the divine can be anything that you think about or desire. It can be God. It can be the universe. It can be angels. But we need to connect to the divine while we're in the moment and living in the moment. One of the things that I think is very important is making sure that we don't occupy our minds with things from the past that are already gone, or worries about things that might possibly happen in the future. The future isn't here yet. We need to enjoy the moment and enjoy now. That is so important because we need to live fully in this moment. This moment is exactly what we have. A couple of things that I like to make sure that I'm focused on when I am in the present and dealing with now is the first thing is always deal with forgiveness. And this is a major concept that I would like to talk about for a little while. I think when we think about forgiveness, the first thing that people think about is forgiving others. And that is very important. Anytime you don't forgive others, you keep yourself as a prisoner and you keep yourself tethered to something that happened in the past or a situation that lowers your vibrational frequency. We need to forgive others. Let it go. That's not an easy concept. And more importantly, one of the things that we need to learn, and I think one of the hardest steps in our path in spirituality, is learning to forgive ourselves. I think for most people, we're our own biggest critic. We are more critical on ourselves than we are dealing with other people. We get caught up on things that have happened and that we keep with us and we don't let it go, or things that we've done or things that we've experienced on our path. And if we make a mistake, and let me tell you, we all make mistakes all the time. We're all a work in progress. But we need to allow ourselves to let it go, and we can't be too hard on ourselves. We need to be able to always forgive ourselves. Once you can forgive yourself, you can go on and it will be easier to forgive others. When you let this burden go and you release yourself from these situations, these thoughts, these memories of areas in our life that we feel we could have done something differently but didn't, there's nothing we can do about it now. So we need to live in the moment now and enjoy it to the fullest. We also talk about happiness and personal happiness because on our path towards spirituality and towards our journey, because this is a journey, it's not a destination, we come across learning to make ourselves happy. And we learn that happiness, just like love, just like many other things, all start within us. Connecting within us, connecting to the divine within us. When we can learn that we create our own world and that we can be happy or we can be miserable, it all is up to us and how we look at life, and it all happens within us. If we can be happy with ourselves and we can move forward with that, it's easier for us to see happiness and experience happiness outside of us. But like everything else, if we don't find it within us first, we're not going to find it outside of us. The same thing with love, being in a relationship. If we don't love ourselves, it's not possible to love others. When we come to the place where we are comfortable with who we are and where we're going, and we do love ourselves, the floodgates open and we're able to experience and to see love all around us and beauty all around us. And yes, we live in a trying time, but we are surrounded all the time by so many positive things. We are surrounded by beauty. We are surrounded by happiness. We are surrounded by joy. And if we can see that and connect to that within us, we can see it in all the outside factors and all the outside influences of our world. We need to be able to be happy with ourselves and love ourselves. Once we do that, we can take that to the next level and be happy and love people outside and experiences outside of us. This is a very important factor in my journey towards enlightenment and towards spirituality. I have learned that nobody else can control that for me. I control it myself, and I take responsibility for that. And that's a big point. There are many books and many different places to go for information, wisdom, resources. One of the best places to go is AmazingUniverseTV.com. But there are a lot of good books out there and a lot of books that have guided me on my journey and where I am and where I'm going towards. And one of the cornerstones of my education in this philosophy, and there are many. I'm a big believer in The Secret, and I think that that's an excellent book. Conversations with God, there are A Course in Miracles. There are many, but one of the ones that I've incorporated into my life and that I work on every day is a book by an author by the name of Don Miguel Ruiz. And the book is called The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements has us looking at ourselves, and it breaks it down to 4 different steps in our world and in our lifetime and in our experiences. One of the steps that he talks about is always be impeccable with your word. This is an important concept. This is living our truth. And this is what we are about. It's not living life for other people or what other people expect from us or want from us. That doesn't matter. It's what we want from ourselves and from ourselves that brings us to this. Being impeccable with our word, again, and living our truth is something that we all need to deal with. We want to make sure that we stay true to ourselves. In order to do that, and one of the ways to do that, is to make sure that what you say is your truth. Being impeccable with your word means that you're going to say what is real and what is true. And you're not going to mislead, mask, hide, or change anything. This is something that we deal with as we're talking to other people and communicating and interacting with others. But it's just as important, or possibly even more important, why we deal with ourselves. Always be impeccable with your word. If you can't be impeccable with your word, don't state it, don't say it, don't put it out to the universe. Only put out to the universe what is real to you and what is true to you. Don Miguel's book is a phenomenal book, The Four Agreements, and if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. He makes some very good points in there, and I know we just talked about being impeccable with your word, and it's called The Four Agreements. And real quickly, I'll sum up the four agreements for you, and I'll tell you what the four are. Always be impeccable with your word. Never take anything personally. Never assume. And always do our best. These are four cornerstones, not just of spirituality, but of life. I know, dealing with, and I do deal with the four agreements and Don Miguel in my head every day and all the time when I'm interacting. I try to always be impeccable with my word, and I think I succeed more than I don't. I know that one of his concepts is never assume. And I want to talk for a moment on that because this is not an easy one. Actually, when you take all four of these into a deeper level to the next step, they all sound easy and simple, and we say, of course. But are we really living this? I know that it takes practice, and I work on this all the time. All four of the four agreements are things that we need to consciously keep in our mind and set an intention to be aware of. Never take anything personally. Wow. That's not easy. We know that when other people communicate with us, whatever they say, we should never bring ourselves to anger or to getting upset because we have no idea what their world's about and what they're going through. Sometimes things are said and we naturally assume that they mean something when that might not be what they meant at all. So I think what Don Miguel is suggesting to us is that we don't jump in front of the horse. We don't get in front of ourselves. Don't allow our minds to go somewhere and assume something that may or may not be true. Again, back to our original statement at the beginning of this show, is what's spirituality about and living our truth. If we make sure that we set an intention and don't take things and don't assume, I jumped ahead, I apologize, and don't assume, we'll find that we're more at peace with ourselves living in the now. Another one of the four agreements that Don Miguel speaks about is never take anything personally. With all four agreements, I think that this is the one that challenges me personally the most. We've been brought up and we've been programmed throughout our lives by our parents, by our peers, by our schools, by our clergy, by our education, on how we deal with things and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to react. When situations and experiences involve us, and we put ourselves into the moment, and we're communicating with other people, other situations, and something is stated, and the first thing we do is assume that they're making a reference to something that we're doing or a way that we're behaving or something that affects us. Sometimes, most of the time, when they make a statement or something is said, it really has nothing to do with you personally. Always, when it comes to people making statements about you, it never is a reflection of you. Usually, it's a reflection of the person making the statement. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to do is to take it personally, like we did something wrong or we have to change or anything like that. It usually has to do with a circumstance or an experience or something that's going on there and not something about you or me or us personally. So when things are said and we can remove ourselves from the situation and we don't take it personally, we open ourselves up and allow the true message to come to us and the meaning of what they're truly saying to come to us. We can't take things personally. Again, when other people say things that we feel is derogatory or hurtful or anything like that, again, it's not a reflection of us. It's a reflection usually of the person that's saying it. If we remove again and step aside for a moment and take out our personal feelings, what we're trying to get to, the crux of the matter of what we're trying to get to, will flow to us much easier. So not taking things personally is a big step in the four agreements and on our journey to spirituality and towards enlightenment. All four of these are very important and very meaningful. And again, I do this book is something that I reread every few months because each time I do it, it's like filling my tank higher and higher, and then going through my daily routine and going through whatever I'm doing. It depletes it a little bit each day or each week, and then I reread it again and it's filling my tank back up again. So, two of the things that we spoke about of the four agreements is never assume and don't take things personally. I think the fourth agreement is always do our best. Not for other people to see, but for ourselves. Character is what you do when nobody's looking, nobody's watching. So, we want to make sure that we're always truthful, always honest, being true to ourselves, and that we don't take things personally, and that we don't assume. And always try to do your best, no matter what, whatever the situation is, whatever you're doing. And it doesn't matter what you do. If you want to be a dentist, be the best dentist that's out there. If you want to be a mail carrier, be the best mail carrier that's out there. If you want to be a good parent, be the best parent that you possibly can be. If you want to be a good friend, be a good friend. The path towards enlightenment and towards spirituality is made up of lessons and made up of experiences. And whatever we can learn on this path enlightens us a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And anywhere we can educate ourselves, or at least me personally, that I can glean new knowledge, new wisdom, new resources, I absorb that like a sponge. And I put it into my being and into my person. And I try to live it. There are, as we said, several good books and good guides out there. I do believe that one of the best ones out there, and one of the fundamental books on our journey or on a path, one that I highly recommend, is Don Miguel's The Four Agreements. There are many, and one of the things that we're going to do here in the future at the Amazing Universe Broadcasting Company, so we're going to be doing little reviews of spiritual books and of different books, and we're going to be posting them on our website. Our website will also have resources so that if you're interested in some of the books that I talk about or some of the books that I make part of my world, there will be a place on our website where you'll be able to go look at the books that we read and that we recommend, and if you're so moved, be able to purchase them also. Growing on a path to spirituality and enlightenment means always learning. Whenever we can, wherever we can, from whoever we can. There's not a person I meet, young or old, that I don't learn something from. Is more tools in our toolbox. And reading these books and reading these references will give you more insight, more wisdom, and more knowledge, and be able to bring you closer or further on your journey. And that's what spirituality is all about. It's our journey. And before I sign off and say goodbye, I do want to say, always have fun. Always enjoy yourself. Always keep it light. Because that's what life is about. We are here to enjoy ourselves. We're here to learn. We're here to have a good time and have fun. That's what the divine wants. That's what the universe wants. So always keep it light. Always enjoy yourself. And keep moving forward, however you can, on your path and on your journey to spirituality. And I look forward to talking to you next time. And until then, keep smiling.